Welcome to Stache Sports, episode 18. Last night, the Pittsburgh Penguins fell 2-1 to the Calgary Flames. I think the Penguins probably should have challenged their penalty call earlier, or challenged that goal, call it a no goal because Sidney Crosby interfered as a goaltender. But I think he was pushed into it. But I get it that sometimes in a close game like that, you do not want to try to challenge a player because if it backfires, if every team gets a penalty. Every team gets a penalty on them. But tonight, the Penguins play the Bruins, and Stuart Skinner will be playing tonight because last night's goaltender was Slovist, and today Stuart Skinner will be playing and goal and met in the net since they're playing the Boston Bruins today. Hopefully, they can bounce back and get back on the winning track today. Last night, we had two football games between the Panthers and Rams. And let's be honest, I didn't think that the Rams game was going to be close. I thought the Rams were going to run away with it. But the Panthers played a heck of a game, and the Rams only won by a field goal, making a good game. And then last night's game between the Bears and Packers was wild. It looked like the Packers were going to win the game outright all the way until the fourth quarter. The Bears were down, but then the Bears decided to come back and scored 25 points in the fourth quarter, making them beat the Chicago Bears. Making them beat the Green Bay Packers 31-27. And if the Packers kicker, McCannis, would have made that extra point when they scored a touchdown in the first place, they would have had another chance to score a field goal. But Caleb Williams, he did not look good going into the game. But for some reason, when the fourth quarter turned on, he started playing a lot better and having him go to 25 points to help him win. And they move on. So did the Rams. Today, we have 3 football games. One at 1 o'clock, the other one's at 4 o'clock, and the other one's at 8 o'clock. The one at 4 o'clock is between the Rams and the 49ers and the Eagles. The 49ers and the Eagles. I think the Eagles are going to win in a close. I think the Eagles that's going to be a good game. I think the Eagles might pull it out, even though they haven't been looking so hot recently, and the 49ers have been. But the 49ers have a good bit of injuries. I think it catches up to them today. And I think the Eagles squeak out a close one in a very cold Philadelphia. Tonight we have the Chargers and Patriots. The Patriots are finally back in the playoffs after been missing, and they got a coach now, and Drake May. But the Chargers have the other Harbaugh and are looking good. I think the Patriots might win this one in a close game because I think they're a little hotter right now than the Chargers. But we will see what happens. We will see what happens when that game goes on. But I think it's going to be a close game again tonight. It's going to come down to the last minute. We'll see if Justin Herbert has it or if Drake May can handle the pressure of being in a playoff game. So I think this could be the first time Drake May is in a playoff game, but I could be wrong. And then today at 1 o'clock, we have the Jacksonville Jaguars duel against the Buffalo Bills. That game starts at 1 o'clock and it's in Jacksonville and has one of the top quarterbacks in Josh Allen going over to Jacksonville to play the Jaguars. The Jaguars are coming off one of their best seasons of late and have a good coach who's in his first year in Jacksonville and has turned that team around. After being a 4-win team this last year and having 13 losses, they have 13 wins this year and turn around. They are the number 3 seed in the playoffs this year. And all of my Jaguar friends better watch this podcast. Are definitely rooting for the Jaguars, and some of them will be there. I think the Jaguars, when it's in a close game, I think Travis Etienne has a big game for the Jaguars, and Trevor Lawrence is having one of his best careers since he's left Clemson. I think he shows up today and pulls out a close game against the Buffalo Bills. This game could even go to overtime, in my opinion. I think it's that close. I think both of these teams are going to fight till the very end. But I think the Jaguars squeak one out. Maybe a long field goal by Cam Little, who's one of the better kickers in the league, besides Boswell. But we will see what happens to the Jaguars. I think the Jaguars' defense has a big play later on, too. Also, the Jaguars got Jacoby Myers. And these are the games that the Jaguars want Jacoby Myers, who used to be on the Raiders, to show up in. And Jacoby Myers has been really hot of recent. So that's going to help Trevor Lawrence in the passing game to have his new target and have his new target back. Have his new target in Jacoby Myers. And maybe Brian Thomas Jr. gets a couple plays. But we will see what happens to the Jaguars. I think Cohen has them ready. Has them ready to beat the Buffalo Bills today in a close game. But we'll see. The Jaguars, I think, are one of the top teams right now in the AFC. Maybe. But we will see what happens today. Any given day. We'll see. I think if the Buffalo Bills lose to the Jaguars today, that it might be Sean McDermott's last game. Maybe, because that's what a lot of reports are saying. But if the Bills don't make it past a wild card, that they might move on and try to get John Harbaugh. Also, there's reports that the Packers, since they lost last night, they might try to move on from Matt LaFleur. But we'll keep that up later as time goes along. We'll keep that up later. We'll see what happens with the Eagles. It's going to be interesting. Brock Purdy is playing a lot better right now, even though they have a good bit of injuries. But like I said, I think the Eagles pull off a close one, even though they're the Super Bowl champions. I think Barkley has a decent game today, and maybe McCaffrey for the 49ers, but I think that's going to be a close game. Tonight's game between the Patriots and Chargers is going to be a good game too, because the Harbaugh brothers are really good coaches. The Harbaughs are really good coaches, but I think the Patriots pull out a close one with all of it, because the Patriots are doing good this year. And the Chargers, I don't know. The Patriots are doing good, so I think the Patriots pull out a close one and move on to next week. But we will see what happens with the Patriots game. I think the Jaguars look good today. I think Cam Little might have a long field goal again today for the Jaguars. Hopefully the Jaguars have a good game and Trevor Lawrence shows up. Because some weeks, like my brother Kyle says, Trevor Lawrence is hit or miss. But the last couple of weeks, Trevor Lawrence has looked a lot better for the Jaguars, and that's been consistent for them. But they have to go against Josh Allen, who is trying to show that he's a good quarterback and trying to finally get to the Super Bowl, even though that's the thing that's been plaguing Josh Allen, the Buffalo Bills. It's not getting to the Super Bowl. But this year's AFC is wide open. So we will see, but coming in as a 6th seed for the Buffalo Bills, it's going to be a challenge. Because they're going up against the 3 seed and the Jaguars, who are really hot of late. Duval. But we will see what happens. I just hope all the games today are close games. I just hope all the games today are close. Because that's all that matters when you're watching the football games, is you hope that they're close games and that the Jaguar... And that it's something interesting to watch until the last minute. Even like that Bears game last night. I thought in the third quarter that game was over. But the Bears showed that you have to wait until the very last second of the game. Let's hope the Penguins can get back on the right track today and get back into the winning column. Because we did not need to go on another big game losing streak like we did before. We need to beat the Boston Bruins and get on to the winning games. And get on to the winning track. And get on to the winning track. But the Jaguars, I think the Jaguars, like I said, won a close one. I think the Eagles won a close one. And I think the Patriots won a close one. And that's all today's games. Tomorrow is the most important game between the Steelers and Texans. I'm just kidding. All these games are important. That's just a joke. So I'm a Steelers fan. But tomorrow's game is between the Steelers and the Texans. And we'll have our game day predictions tomorrow of who we think is going to win that game. And why I think the team's going to win that game. And why I think the team is going to win that game. But tomorrow, and then we'll also recap today's games between the Jaguars and Bills, Eagles and 49ers, and Chargers and Patriots. But But it's nice to see the Jaguars are finally in the playoffs. Even if we have to play the Steelers later on, it's finally nice to see Jacksonville doing something and always having to have a number one and always having a top 5 draft pick. Hopefully this new coach has something going for Jacksonville for all my friends that like the Jaguars. But we will see what happens. As I said, tomorrow we'll talk about the Steelers and Texans game. We'll recap today's games and recap the Penguins' win or loss. And talk more about sports tomorrow in tomorrow's podcast. If you have any comments or anything I can talk about more about, please let me know. Please leave them below. Thank you for watching Stache Sports episode 18 about the Jaguars and every game predictions. But thank you for watching Stache Sports episode 18.